Randolph Wilson Bromery, born 1926, died 2013. African American geologist and geophysicist. In his youth, Randolph W. Bromery worked hard to gain an education in mathematics, geology, and geophysics in the classroom and in the workplace. He was a pioneer in the airborne acquisition, reduction, and interpretation of geophysical information. Early in his career, he began to share his academic, practical, and administrative experience with others as an educator, and by the early 1990s, he earned a post as a college president. With over 150 professional articles, distinguished alumni awards from Howard University and the Johns Hopkins University, and several honorary doctorates and other awards to his credit, Bromery was named one of the nation's outstanding black scientists by the National Academy of Science in 1997. Randolph Wilson Bromery was born January 18, 1926, in Cumberland, Maryland, to Edith E. and Lawrence R. Bromery. It was in Cumberland that Bromery's education began. He attended a segregated high school where African American boys were not allowed to take math courses. Instead, they were placed in industrial arts courses. Bromery recalled in an interview with contributor R. Garcia Johnson on April 6, 1998, that his grandmother went to the school and, quote, complained bitterly, but, unquote, quote, to no avail. I was told that the superintendent of school said that black men didn't need it, meaning math, given what they were going to do in life, unquote. Bromery's grandmother arranged for him to learn math at night from those who instructed his sister. African American girls were allowed to take math in school. This arrangement eventually worked to Bromery's benefit. He learned math one-on-one. He learned math one-on-one with the exclusive attention of his teachers. After high school, Bromery went to Tuskegee, where he wanted to become a navigator. Officials were concerned because on paper it looked as though he had no mathematics instruction. Bromery persuaded them to let him take a test, and he passed it. He became a member of U.S. Air Force Tuskegee Airmen and flew in the United States during World War II. Not overseas, as some sources relate. After the war, Bromery wanted to attend the University of Michigan since he had family in Detroit and had worked there for 2 summers. Once again, officials thought he had no math training. Again, he proved with a test that he was capable. He took a correspondence course from Brigham Young University and entered the University of Michigan. He studied there until 1946, when he went to summer school at Howard to be near his mother, who was ill. Bromery's mother was in fact dying of multiple sclerosis, although the family was unaware of that at the time. Bromery's mother died the next spring, but Bromery stayed at Howard. There he worked with Professor Elbert F. Cox, the first African American to earn a Ph.D. in mathematics. Bromery's senior year, he married Cecile Trescott and prepared to graduate in the summer of 1948. However, he had a problem with the registrar. Without receiving his degree, he left the university and began looking for work. He left application after application at the U.S. Naval Research Lab, which kept losing his application, and began to worry. Quote, we had run out of money, the GI Bill had stopped, and we had about $15, unquote, he told Garcia Johnson. One day after a visit to the Naval Research Lab, Bromery caught a trolley and saw an abandoned African-American newspaper on a seat. He saw an advertisement for the U.S. Geological Survey, which was looking for physicists and mathematicians. Bromery transferred to another trolley and rode over to the office. Officials there were excited about Bromery's background in math and physics and happy that he did not get airsick. Quote, within 2 or 3 hours, they put me on the payroll, he said. Although he did not know much about geology, Bromery began work with the Airborne Geophysics Group For years, he worked to develop aeromagnetic maps of the East Coast from New Hampshire to Pennsylvania. According to Bromery, aeromagnetic maps measure the variation in magnetic materials in rocks. Variations in the rocks allow scientists to discriminate different kinds of rocks, so they could map rocks from a plane. He explained, quote, "We could analyze magnetic expressions, calculate how far below the aircraft was the body that caused them, and calculate the size and shape of these bodies." Unquote. Bromery also worked to find radioactive minerals in rocks. As the United States entered the nuclear era and needed a secure supply of uranium, Bromery flew over the Colorado Plateau, searching for uranium deposits, mapping as he went. He also was a part of a team that worked for USAID, making geophysical maps in Liberia and Nigeria. Bromery's thorough understanding of math was invaluable in his work. Acquiring information about rocks and potential fields of valuable elements required analysis of magnetic expressions and interpretation of data, yet he wanted to know more. In 1956, Bromery's degree from Howard University was finally awarded, and later, while still working for the U.S. Geological Survey, he began studies of geology at American University to earn undergraduate and master's degrees. In 1961, he began to lecture at Howard University. He told Garcia Johnson that during this time he worked full-time, took night school courses on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and began teaching at Howard on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Quote, "I made just enough money to pay tuition on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday," unquote. After earning an MS degree in 1962, he continued his graduate studies at Johns Hopkins University, where he was a Gilman Fellow. Bromery taught at Howard until 1965 and worked with the U.S. Geological Survey until 1967. During this time, airborne geophysical acquisition, reduction, and interpretation, as practiced by Bromery and others with the U.S. Geographic Survey, was not yet widely taught in the United States. Bromery was asked to give lectures all over the country and received calls from several colleges asking him to come as a faculty member to teach. Bromery decided to teach at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Bromery's Ph.D. from Johns Hopkins was conferred in 1968. Bromery's career as an academic was off to a fast start. By 1969, he served as the head of the Department of Geology and Geophysics at the University of Massachusetts. In 1971, the chancellor left, and Bromery was asked to serve as the acting chancellor. With faith in the management skills he acquired working for the U.S. Geological Survey, he accepted. He served as the senior vice president and chancellor of the university from 1972 to 1980, when he returned to teaching and research as the Commonwealth Professor of Geophysics. During those years, he received several honorary doctorates. Bromery kept busy with his academic work and some business ventures. In 1981, he served as the Weston Geophysical International Corporation president, and in 1983, he moved on to become the president of the Geoscience Engineering Corporation. These were not Bromery's only activities in the business world. He worked as a consultant for Exxon and Kennecott Copper. He was a member of the board of directors for corporations including Exxon, NYNEX, and Singer, for banks including Chase Manhattan Bank and Chemical Bank, and for John Hancock Mutual Life Insurance. In 1988, Bromery became the acting president of Westfield State College and held that post until 1990. In 1989, he served as the president of the Geological Society of America. Next, he was called to Boston when the state and the governor and the Board of Regents asked him to head up the board. Bromery did, but then retired from the University of Massachusetts in 1992. 6 days after his retirement, he decided to serve as the acting president of Springfield College in Massachusetts. When the search committee for a new president organized, however, they decided that he should lead the institution. On October 30th, 1993, Bromery was inaugurated as the president of Springfield College. At Springfield College, Bromery provided leadership and sound administration. Bromery successfully dealt with the school's financial problems and decided to retire during or after 1998. Yet retirement for Bromery does not mean going fishing or sitting in a rocking chair, he told Garcia Johnson. I do want to write about some of my experience. As an African American being 70 years old, I have seen many changes. Life in the South in the early 1940s was difficult, and Bromery feels that young African Americans should know about it. Bromery and his wife, who have celebrated 50 years of marriage, live in Amherst, Massachusetts. They have 5 children: Keith, Carol, Dennis, David, and Christopher, as well as 7 grandchildren. Citations and sources of this audio are in the description.